Hello and welcome to another episode of Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. I'm Cole Brennan. I'm hosting tonight's show, and I'm going to bring in my guest, Anthony Greenfield. Anthony, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, Cole. It is a big, impactful Wednesday, and in the sports world, I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Yeah, we've had a decent amount of coaching changes. We had Black Monday, as they call it in the NFL, where a lot of
hmm
people are unfortunately losing their jobs. Had Arthur Smith down at Atlanta lose his job. Ron Rivera lost his job. There's still some other coaches that have lost their jobs. Pete Carroll lost his today. Nick Saban retired. So let's get into that. What do you think of all these coaching changes, and what do you think about Nick Saban retiring?
Well, I want to start off by saying I think a lot of these coaching changes have come with frustrations inside the Oval Office, and there's obviously some changes that need to be made in these organizations. Like this passing Sunday when the Falcons lost to the Saints in a blowout loss, and Arthur Smith decided to confront the Saints head coach and start cursing. He had some words for him. That was unprofessional in my opinion. Carolina, they needed help from the beginning of the season. They put everything they had to and everything they needed around Bryce Young, and that didn't get them anywhere. That got them a max of 2 wins. Then Ron Rivera. They get a new owner. They got Josh Hart. Ron Rivera comes in and he does what he did for the last couple of seasons, but that's not working out. So now I think Josh Hart is starting to move on from Ron Rivera, and now he's going to take over the team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've had a lot of coaching changes. I mean, Ron Rivera with a new owner, I mean, he was just destined to get fired. They're going to bring in their own people. Uh,
Yeah.
that's that's just the way sports work. When there's a new ownership group, they're bringing in their own people. The Penguins made a lot of changes in their front office this past season when Fenway Sports Group has owned the team for I believe 2 or 3 seasons now, but anytime an owner takes over a team, changes are on its way. They're bringing in
Mhm.
their own people. They're bringing in their own style. That's just the way it is. Um, but I think also too. I mean, Carolina's just been a disaster of an organization. I mean, it's a complete dumpster fire. It's the same thing too with the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are still a dumpster fire, and they've been a dumpster fire for so many years. Josh Harris has he's got a lot of work cut out for him there in the nation's capital. But
Exactly.
there's I mean also too you see with Arthur Smith and Mike Vrabel as well. Mike Vrabel I think is a very good head coach. I think he's going to end up being the head coach for the Patriots. I don't know why the Titans would fire him. They don't have any talent there.
Exactly. So I think the Titans really went downhill when they traded AJ Brown away. So when they traded AJ Brown away, and who else did you know in that receiver core besides Traylon Burks? Nobody. It was Derrick Henry. They got Julio Jones for all of a season, maybe a few games because he was injured, or maybe Ryan Tannehill didn't look his way. But I think the Titans really messed up with Mike Vrabel. Now, this passing summer, Mike Vrabel was inducted in the Patriots Hall of Fame, and he did mention in his speech that he would come back to the organization. So you're right, Cole. I would say that Mike Vrabel has a part for the Patriots organization, and Mike Vrabel being their new head coach. But first, they need to figure out what they're going to do with Bill Belichick.
I would say it's pretty safe to say I think the Patriots are going to move on with Belichick. That's just how I feel. But next one, now let's get into Nick Saban. Nick Saban today announced his retirement. The
Mm,
the greatest head coach in college football history. I think it's safe to say. Just
no
his
doubt,
his
no doubt.
resume, he accomplished so much. There I don't blame him for retiring. There is nothing else for him to accomplish. He's accomplished everything in college football. But what what do you think? I mean, how does Alabama, the football program, the university move forward without Nick Saban? Because they just had a giant in that football program, somebody who has built that football program and turn it into a powerhouse. How do they continue? I mean, who are they going to bring in?
Well, if you ask me, I think they should bring in the Texas head coach. He played with, or he coached with USC back in 2013 and 2015, and before that, he was with the Washington Huskies. Steve, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his last name. Steve Sarkisian, but he was just in the college football playoff, played off against the Michael Penix and the Washington Huskies. But I think that should be the next candidate between him and Dan Lennon. Those are two toss-ups for me. I don't know who has the edge, but those will be two great coaches for Alabama moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think another name that we can throw out there is Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss. Either way,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
we're all going to agree there are going to be so many coaches lining up wanting to take that job. That is probably the most attractive job in college football. And there's a lot of other attractive jobs in college football, but that one, Alabama. But the only thing is that if you're that coach, you got a lot to live up to.
Exactly.
It's not going to be easy to live up to Nick
It's
Saban.
not going to be hard because you can't just come in and you see what Nick Saban built for all those years, and then you just tear it down and then just go off of it. I mean, if you want to keep the tradition, you might as well just put that job on LinkedIn and then just have one of the Alabama football fans or somebody in the student section have them be a head coach and see what they do with the organization. It's all about tradition, Roll Tide. They got to keep it moving. I think they have to continue to win games, but they have to have the right coaching first.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I think they should put the job on work online. I got my resume all ready to go. I got
Yeah,
everything ready to go. I'll apply for it. Name me the
yeah,
head coach of Alabama. I'll do a great job.
exactly. I played NCAA football when I was younger, so I know which plays I know what to do. I see what Nick Saban been doing. I can keep it up.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is they should name me the head coach. I mean, they name me the head coach of Alabama. That program will keep rolling. I might be able to live up to Nick Saban. You never know.
I think Penn State needs you more. I think you'd rather stay in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, I
You know
also
what?
heard too that James Franklin was like a candidate for that job at Alabama. If you're Alabama, how could you even think about bringing in James Franklin? He can't even beat the Big Ten.
Yeah.
How's he going to beat
No.
the SEC? If he can't beat the Big Ten, he can't beat Ohio State, Michigan, and he can't beat some of these other teams. He couldn't beat Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl.
Exactly.
How's he going to go and be a coach at Alabama and beat those teams in the SEC? It's
Yeah, you can't.
yes,
But if you want to bring in, a coach to help, replace Nick Saban, he needs to have a historic winning record. You can't skip a beat with Nick Saban. I mean, you can't find the exact person, but you can find somebody close.
I don't even know if you can find somebody close just because of how good Nick Saban is. Like Nick Saban is on like a level of his own. I mean, I think he's the greatest coach ever in like college football history. His
Hmm.
resume is just so good. All of those big wins, those playoff appearances, NCAA championship wins. You know, like I mean, that is his resume is just so good. It's like, how can a coach live up to the stuff that he's done? Because right now in college football, I don't think there's a coach that has lived up to Nick Saban. I mean, can you think of anyone else? Because I can.
Um, there's only one coach that comes to mind, and he just won the national championship. Jim Harbaugh, or is it John? I always forget.
Jim.
It's one of the Harbaugh brothers. But yeah, John, I think it's John. I think John Harbaugh would probably have the best way of continuing a championship mindset and a winning mentality in Alabama. Because think about it, he went to the Super Bowl with the Niners. He went to the championship with the Wolverines. He has the championship experience in both the collegiate and the NFL level. He has massive connects in the NFL to collegiate or collegiate to the NFL. If you ask me, Harbaugh would be the next best person for Nick Saban. That's just me though. That's just me.
But I wouldn't say he's gonna leave Michigan. He's an alumni of Michigan.
Yeah.
And they're paying him like a bag to coach at Michigan. I mean, he's getting paid a lot of money. I don't think he's gonna leave Michigan. The only way he'd leave Michigan is if he decides to go to the NFL. In originally earlier back in like November, I thought he would go to the NFL, but I don't think he's going to go to the NFL now. I think he's going to stay at Michigan. It's his alma mater. So why not continue to coach? Why not pull in a lot of money? Because Jim Harbaugh,
Yeah, I mean, Cole, if you want to talk about how John Harbaugh is like this kind of guy that he can go to the NFL level and he can produce champion level winning level mentality people, but you also have to know that at the end of the day, sports is a business. We can all have our fun. We can all have our, yeah, this is our favorite team. This is my alma mater. This is where I come from. This is my home. This is where I want to be with. But can he produce the winning? Can he produce the winning culture that is Alabama? Because Nick Saban did slow down in the end. Let's not forget that. Let's not play God to say Nick Saban, yeah, he came off an undefeated season and yeah, he came off some big wins. He did have some big wins, but John Harbaugh just came off of an undefeated season with JJ McCarthy, Blake Corum, and a few other Michigan stars. Imagine what he can do with Jalen Milroe.
yeah, but I would just say him going to Alabama is highly unlikely. He's just not going to leave his alma mater.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, if I'm him, I wouldn't even leave my alma mater to go coach at Alabama. I would stay at Michigan, try and turn them into a powerhouse. I mean, at the end of the, I mean, Jim Harbaugh has done a great job up there at Michigan, but I think the best move for Jim, stay at Michigan.
Yeah.
So moving on now to national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
That
what
was
you
a great
thought. What
game.
did you think of the national championship game? What did you think of Penix? What did you think about Washington's O line? What did you think about Michigan? What are your overall thoughts on it?
Well, first off, I want to congratulate the Michigan Wolverines on winning the national championship. You guys definitely deserved it. Me, as an Ohio State fan, I will still disagree with everything that you say, but hey, I'm happy for you guys. Now, for Penix, I think this game alone hurt his draft stock. Now, if Michael Penix is going to go into the draft with that performance that he left on the field against with the Michigan defense, I wouldn't show that to any NFL caliber coaching. You know, I mean, the game that I would show him is the one with Texas, the one he played a week prior. But if we're going to talk about the game, I think Michael Penix, he had a lot of good reads. He had a lot of good scrambling. He was able to find a couple deep shots down the field. He was able to scramble out of pressure in the pocket. But the Michigan defense, they're just too adaptive. They're just too dominant. You can have a big name, rising star QB. He could be tearing up the league. But then once the Michigan defense get a hold of him, who is he? He's bottled up. He'll have less than 100 yards, less than 50 yards rushing. His number one receiver is going to be locked up. I think I just think that Washington just met their match.
Yeah, I think Michigan was the best team in college football, easily.
Yeah.
I watched them play so many times this year, and just anytime I watched them, they were just dominant. They had a great defense. That defense is they were just stellar the whole season. I saw them play Penn State. Now Penn State had a horrible offense. Michigan's defense was just so dominant on Penn State. They were dominant on Ohio State. Well, I don't think Kyle McCord's a very good quarterback.
Yeah, you can't put Kyle McCord in that conversation. No, that's not fair.
Michigan is just their defense was just phenomenal. I mean, all season they were good against Alabama. You know, I think they had how many fumble recoveries did they have against Alabama? Maybe two or three.
Yeah, around 2 or maybe 3. Because I know Jalen fumbled a few in the third quarter and early in the fourth.
But it was just such a big game for Michigan. You know, you saw them play Alabama, and once they beat Alabama, I just felt like it was their year. I've been feeling that way, kind of like, well, I said it was a toss-up for Michigan-Alabama. I did later predict that Michigan was going to win that game. I think I even said it on here that I predicted Michigan if I had to pick one. But well, both those games to me were toss-up. There, the Alabama game, and then you had the Washington game. Michigan is just, they're so tough. I mean, even too, they have a great rushing attack with Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. Both those guys are really good running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think Blake Corum is a first-round pick due to his size. He's absolutely your second or third round pick. Yeah, I would probably take him more towards the third round just because of his size. Like, that size is just the thing you have to wonder is, since he is so small, is he going to be able to see those gaps, you know, in an NFL game? I don't know if he can see those holes. So that's why I would kind of take him towards a third round pick. Just because I don't know if he's going to have that vision like he does in college by seeing those holes, finding the open holes and running. But Blake Corum is he's a phenomenal college football running back. He's just so good. And then also too, shout out to JJ McCarthy. I've never been the biggest JJ McCarthy fan. I never thought he was a stud. He's going to get drafted this year, but he's probably going to get drafted second, maybe the third round. I just don't think he doesn't scream to me first round quarterback. But either way, it's been, I don't like Michigan, but man, are they just dominant.
Yeah, there sometimes you may just have to swallow your pride and just say, you know what, this team is dominant on paper, but they're also dominant on the field. You just and sometimes you may hate that team. I think it's just better just go with what's in front of you.
Right, I'll get on with that now. Moving on to the NFL playoff games. Got a lot of good games this weekend. Chiefs, Dolphins, you have Bucks, Eagles, you have Steelers, Bills, you have
Cowboys,
Browns,
Packers,
Texans.
Yeah, and Stafford returning to Detroit.
Right, Stafford returning to Detroit.
That's my favorite one. I gotta watch that one.
With all of these games, I mean, who are you predicting? Who do you think is going to come out on top? And I can't forget to mention this. Jasmine might be a little bit upset with me, but the Cowboys and the Packers, because I did not mention that playoff game. But let's go through this all. What's your predictions for this week's games?
Well, let me start by saying this. Jasmine, if you see this, I'm sorry, but you guys are not beating Dallas at AT&T Stadium. They're 9-0 at home this season. I mean, they should be 8-1, but I'm not going to get into that. But I'm saying Dak Prescott, with his cadence, here we go. Come on, you can't do that with Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, arguably like the best receiver in the league at this moment. And then you have Brandon Cooks, you have Jake Ferguson, you have all these weapons on the Cowboy offense at home. You guys are with Jordan Love. You guys are not beating him. So I'm taking the Cowboys over the Packers. Now moving on to the Browns and the Texans. If you ask me, I like what CJ Stroud is doing. But if we're gonna put Baker Mayfield, we're gonna put Joe Flacco under center with the Browns offense, their weapons, and on defense, you got Anthony Walker, Grant Delpit, Myles Garrett. I think I may have to go with Cleveland just because of Myles Garrett. He's just that big of a game wrecker. LA and Detroit. I want Detroit. I like what Dan Campbell's doing over there. I like how Dan Campbell has changed the atmosphere of Detroit, and now he's turned that into a winning culture. And me personally, the Detroit Lions are Super Bowl favorites for me. I want them to go all the way. Who else? Who am I forgetting? The Bills and the Steelers.
And the Bucks Eagles.
Yeah. Bucks Eagles. I'm gonna say Eagles for that one. I think Jalen Hurts and the Eagles may squeeze that one out. I don't think it's gonna be easy, but I think they're gonna squeeze it out. And the Bills and the Steelers, give me the Bills. I'm gonna say Josh Allen. He'll give him maybe one passing touchdown, but I think Josh Allen will do it with his legs against the Steeler defense.
All righty. We got Anthony's predictions in. Let's get to mine. So, first, I will start out with Browns, Texans. Browns won this regular season matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to say it's definitely not going to be an easy game. Like, you are playing on the road in Houston, and it's definitely not easy to beat a team twice. However, CJ Stroud is a rookie, and I think I'm going to take a veteran. While it is Joe Flacco has been incredible since he has stepped into that starting role with the Browns.
I agree.
The Browns this year, Kevin Stefanski deserves Coach of the Year. What he's been able to do with all of their injuries and bring them to 11-6 and do it with Joe Flacco, who everyone had already written off.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was their third QB that they used this year.
Yeah, so, I was really cheering for DTR. Deshaun Watson got injured, and then Joe Flacco came in.
Right. So that was their third quarterback, and then they used the fourth quarterback this week. So I am honestly going to take the Browns. I trust them more than I do the Texans. The Texans are young. You hope to see CJ Stroud, perform under pressure. It's a playoff game. But either way, I got to take the Browns. I just feel they have some more experience. I'm going to take I believe CJ Stroud is a better quarterback than Joe Flacco. I got to take the veteran with experience over a rookie. Next game, you got Dolphins and Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is a different animal in the playoffs. He's Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs are at home. It's not easy to beat the Chiefs at home, but I think that can be a very close game. Dolphins have a ton of injuries on defense. I don't believe they're going to be able to get the pass rush on Patrick Mahomes. So that's why I got to take the Chiefs. While
I'm taking the Chiefs too.
Don't have any
that's
receivers.
Another game I forgot.
What's your prediction for that?
I would say I'm taking the Chiefs too. The Chiefs they're always different in the playoffs. I'm just gonna say, give me the Chiefs.
Steelers, Bills. I'm not even gonna really get into this fully. Everyone knows my issues with the Steelers. Coach Tomlin hasn't had a playoff victory in 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
He has 3 playoff victories in 13 years. Coach Tomlin is obviously overrated, as I've said so many times. I am taking the Bills. TJ Watt is out. The Steelers are 1-10 without TJ Watt.
Oh yeah,
That's simple.
That's your X
So
factor.
I am going to take the Bills. The Bills are hot. I think the Bills can win the Super Bowl, actually. They have just gotten so hot. They're playing so well. Coming off a big victory against the Dolphins and winning the division. And they've had so many other big victories. They beat the Chiefs. And they're putting it all together right now. So I'm predicting the Bills to beat the Steelers. And the spread for that game is Bills favored -10. And I think the Bills cover the spread as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Packers, Cowboys. I'm going to pick the Packers.
Wow. In the AT&T Stadium?
I do not trust the Cowboys. It's that simple. The Cowboys have choked every single year. They cannot perform in the playoffs. And they always screw it up every year. Jordan Love is hot. The Packers are putting it together. I'm going to pick the Packers to beat the Cowboys. Think that we're going to have an upset there.
Ooh, yeah. I think it's going to be a big upset. The 7th seed beating the 2nd seed? Ooh, man.
Next one, Rams-Lions. Yeah, this game is going to be a very good game. I'm actually very much looking forward to Rams-Lions. Matthew Stafford is back in Detroit. I don't know who I'm going to pick, though. Right now, it's a toss-up. But honestly, I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Lions are just – they're – obviously, they didn't make the playoffs last year. They're just such a young team. It's so hard, too, for these – you need that veteran presence that can really, show these players that haven't played in the playoffs. Jared Goff has obviously played in the playoffs before, but Amon-Ra St. Brown hasn't. Their other receivers really haven't.
Yeah.
And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs and you have David Montgomery. They have 2 good running backs. That's what I got to say. They have a solid rushing attack. But I'm going to take the Rams because I believe the Rams, they got more experience. So I'm taking the Rams. I like the Rams' weapons with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua is lit the league on fire this year. He's just had such a good rookie season. Just came out of nowhere.
And who would have thought that Puka Nacua would come out and just take the league by storm?
Right. So I'm going to take the Rams, but that one I feel is a toss-up too. While I'm taking the Rams, I could see the Lions winning this game as well. So the next one, I got Eagles, Bucks. Eagles are playing like crap right now. That's pretty safe to say. They have lost. I know they just lost this past week. They lost to Arizona. They're just not playing well. So I got to take the Bucks. The Eagles have lost since week 13. They lost 6 out of their last 7 games.
Yeesh.
Yikes. Lost to the 49ers, lost to the Cowboys, lost to the Seahawks, beat the Giants, lost to the Cardinals, lost to the Giants. I have to take the Bucks. The Eagles are just not playing good football at all.
Right.
So I am going to take the Bucks. I think Baker Mayfield has had an incredible season down in Tampa Bay. He's really kind of turned his career around. And I never thought he was a bad quarterback. I just think he's been in terrible situations. I don't even think the Browns should have moved on from him, to be quite honest with you. Because I feel that Baker Mayfield, he's a better quarterback under center. And that's the way. I don't believe that the Browns played to his strengths enough. And I don't even think he did a bad job in Cleveland. He did lead them to the playoffs.
He
But
did.
I don't like Deshaun Watson. Just going out and trading for Deshaun Watson was just a dumb move. But that's just something the Browns do because the Browns really never win.
I mean, look, the Browns are just a desperate organization. They just wanted to get Baker Mayfield out because who knows why. They just weren't winning with Baker Mayfield. Then he goes to Carolina, doesn't win. Then he comes to Tampa Bay, and he's doing pretty decent.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the Bucks, and I think that's about it for all the playoff games, and that's about it for Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk episode. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy the playoff games this weekend.
Everybody, please enjoy. Have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in.